Welcome to another session in number theory. In the last session, we were discussing about primes and composites, and we concluded in the last session that the set of all primes is not a finite set. That means the set of all primes is an infinite set. One probable question is now that what about the set of all composites? Can we say that set of all composites is also infinite? So to answer that question, let us recall the definition of a composite number. A number greater than 1 is said to be a composite number if it is not a prime number. So what is a prime number? A number greater than 1 is a prime number if it has exactly two divisors, 1 and that number itself. Therefore, for a number to become composite, it must have at least three factors, 1, that number itself, and some other factor. So the question now is to determine if the set of all composite numbers is finite or not. The answer is no, and that can be seen as follows. Suppose that we consider all multiples of 2. So 2 into 1, 2 into 2, 2 into 3, 2 into 4, etc. So how many multiples are there? There are infinitely many multiples. Remove 2 into 1, which is equal to 2 from that collection. So now we have 2 into 2, 2 into 3, 2 into 4, etc. All these numbers are distinct, and all these numbers have at least three factors. What are these three factors? 1 is a factor, 2 is a factor, and we have taken 2 into 3, 2 into 4, 2 into 5, etc. Therefore, 3 is a factor for the first number, 4 is a factor for the next number. Therefore, all these numbers we have considered here, they have at least three factors, and all these numbers form an infinite set. Therefore, the set of all composite numbers definitely consists of these elements, since set of all composite numbers consist of all these two multiples starting from 2 into 2 onwards, and it is an infinite set. Composite set must also be an infinite set. Therefore, the set of all composite numbers is also an infinite set. So, primes is infinite, composites is also infinite as sets. Now, the question can appear now is the following, that how to determine if a given number is prime or composite. This is actually a very complicated question because it's actually one of the most difficult questions in number theory, that to determine if a given number is prime or composite, and if it's not prime, determine its factors. It's actually a very complicated question. Though we are not going to completely give an easy algorithm for determining if it's a prime or composite, we will be seeing some interesting results that will help us to determine a number is prime or composite in somewhat a better way. Suppose that a number n is given and we are asked the question to determine if n is a prime or composite. What is the procedure we have to adopt? So if n is 2 itself, there is nothing to check because 2 is a prime, we know. It has only two factors, 1 and 2 itself. Suppose that it is greater than 2. What are the steps that we have to follow to determine if it's a prime or not? So try to divide n with 2. If the remainder is 0, then 2 is a divisor. It's already greater than 2, therefore 1 is a factor, 2 is a factor, and that number itself is a factor. Therefore it has three divisors, and so it cannot be prime. Now, if 2 doesn't divide, what will do? So we have to try to divide it with 3, we have to try to divide it with 4, etc. Suppose that at some stage we are getting that it has divisors 1, that number, and in addition some other number also, then we will conclude that that number is a composite. Suppose that we do not get any number less than n and greater than or equal to 2 is to be a factor of that number, we will conclude that the given n is a prime. That's the procedure that we can follow. So how many divisions we have to perform here? So to check if a number is n is a prime or not, how many divisions we have to actually make? That is the first thing that we are going to see now. The question now we have is the following. Given a natural number n, which is greater than or equal to 2, determine if it is a prime number or a composite number. So the steps we have to follow are given below. If we have to say that it is a prime, perform the divisions d on n, where 2 less than or equal to d less than n. If there are no such d's, then it automatically becomes that n becomes a prime. If you can find some d in such a way that d divides n and d is between 2 and n, d is strictly less than n, then we say that if such a d exists, then n is not a prime. If we are able to find some d dividing this n, then n is not going to be a prime or n is a composite. But what if such a d does not exist? That means that we try to divide n with 2, we try to divide n with 3, etc. We try to divide n with n minus 1. Suppose 2 does not divide n, 3 does not divide n, etc. n minus 1 does not divide n, then n is a prime. So how many divisions we have to probably perform? We have to start from 2 and we have to reach up to n minus 1. We have to perform n minus 2 divisions, or we don't have to perform this n minus 2 divisions always. We may have to perform up to n minus 2 divisions to make sure that n is a prime or composite. So it means that we have to perform n minus 2 divisions to make sure that n is a prime or composite. But we have to observe one more thing. If 2 is a factor, if 2 divides n, then n equal to 2 into n by 2. But just see that 2 is the least factor that n can have. 2 least possible factor for n that is greater than 1. Therefore, n is equal to 2 into n by 2. So if it has some other factorization of probably 3 into n by 3, now again probably 4 into n by 4, we don't know. These are all possibilities. But just look at this thing, that n by 2 is going to be the largest factor that n can have. Other than n and 1, the largest factor n can have is n by 2. Therefore, instead of performing divisions from 2 to n minus 1, so we need to check factors of n among 2 to n by 2. Of course, n by 2 need not be an integer. If n by 2 is not an integer, we will check integer just below n by 2, up to integer just below n by 2. Therefore, instead of performing n minus 2 divisions, we need to just perform n minus 2 minus 1 divisions. Therefore, it is enough to perform n by 2 minus 2 divisions to determine if n is a prime. We started with performing n minus 2 divisions. Now we are make sure that n minus 2 divisions are not necessary. N by 2 minus 2 divisions are more than enough. So this is actually a great reduction in the number of operations that we perform. For example, to determine whether 102 is a prime or 103 is a prime or not, initially we had to perform divisions from 2, 3, etc. up to 102, and therefore there are 102 minus 1, that is 101 divisions. But now, according to what we just observed, we have to perform divisions from 2, 3, etc. up to 103 by 2, which is 51.5 approximately. So up to 51 only we need to check. Therefore, this is going to be only 50 divisions now. So we reduce the number of divisions by almost half. Now we will see another method to reduce the divisions further down. The observation is the following. If some d divides n, then every prime factor of d also will divide n. This is because we have already seen that if a divides b and b divides c, then a divides c. Therefore, if p is a prime such that b divides d and d divides n, then p also divides n. Therefore, to verify if n is a prime, we need to perform divisions using primes between 2 and n by 2. So in the first stage, we said that we have to perform divisions from 2 to n minus 1. After that, we reduce the number of divisions from 2 to n by 2. And now we have further reduced the divisions from 2 up to n by 2, but only using primes between this particular range. Therefore, we can see that number of divisions have further reduced down. For example, to decide if 103 is a prime or not, initially we were thinking about performing 102 divisions. Then we reduced it to 51 divisions. Now we are reducing to all primes below 51. What are the primes below 51? 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, 31, 37, 41, 43, and 47. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we have to perform only 15 divisions now to confirm if 103 is a prime or not. So from 102 to 51 with just 15 divisions. Now we will see if we can further reduce the number of divisions, but after seeing something else interesting. The question now we are going to ask is how to find out all the primes up to a given number. For example, suppose that we want to find out all the prime numbers starting from 2 up to 100. So there is a technique given by a Greek mathematician called Eratosthenes, and this technique is known as Zero Eratosthenes. In this technique, we are removing composites one by one, leaving primes in such a way that after a few number of steps, only primes will be remaining since we have filtered out all the composite numbers. So we will see this zeal using some small example, say finding all primes up to 30. Now we are going to mark those numbers which are not possibly primes. See that 1 by definition it's neither a prime or a composite. So let us mark it with this red round. Now 2 is not divisible by any number less than 2 and greater than 1. That means we cannot find any divisor of 2 in the range 1 less than d less than 2. Since no number less than 2 divides 2 which is not equal to 2 or 1, 2 is therefore a prime. So we mark it to be a prime. Now we have seen already in that any multiple of 2 other than 2 cannot be a prime. So we are going to remove all multiples of 2 after 2. So 4 removed, 6 removed, 8 removed, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. What is the next number remaining after 2 without being crossed out? That number is 3. So that means that no number less than 3 which is not equal to 1 actually divides 3. Therefore 3 is also a prime because it has no divisors less than 3 dividing 3 other than 1. So we mark this also as a prime. So marked as a prime. Now next we are going to remove all multiples of 3 that have not been already crossed out. So what are the numbers remaining which are multiples of 3 that have not been already removed? 6 is already removed, 9 is not removed, so remove 9, and 15 is not removed, remove 15, 21 is not removed so far, remove 21, 27 is not removed, remove 27 also. What is the next number remaining after 3 which is not being crossed out? That is equal to 5. Since 5 has no divisors, no prime divisors before that, because 2 does not divide 5, 3 does not divide 5. Otherwise, you would have already crossed it. So we mark 5 also as a prime. So 5 is marked as a prime. Now we cross all multiples of 5 that have not been already crossed out. So which multiple of 5 is now remaining? Only 25 is remaining and we remove that. What is the next number remaining after 5 that is not being cancelled out? That is 7. So 7 is a prime. Remove all multiples of 7 after 7 that are not being already crossed out, but there is no such multiple remaining. So there is nothing to do now. What is the next number remaining after 7? The next number remaining after 7 which is not being crossed out is 11. Therefore 11 is a prime. Now look for all multiples of 11 after 11, and since there are none, there is no need to cancel anything. Now we look at next number that is not being cancelled out, that is 13. 13 is a prime. No multiple of 13 is now remaining. We proceed. Next number not crossed out is 17. 17 is therefore a prime. No multiples of 17 is now remaining to cross out. After that, it's 19 is remaining without being crossed out. No multiple of 19 is there. So 23 is remaining without being cancelled, and no multiple of 23 is there after that. 28 is remaining and no multiple of 29 is remaining and no multiple of 29 after that. Therefore, we located the primes to be 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23 and 29. These are all the primes in the range 1 to 30. and this is how the sieve of Eratosthenes works. So for any up to any n, we can carry out the same procedure, but of course, the difficulty will increase with the n we are choosing. So if we are trying to find out all primes up to 100, we have to do more closing outs and more cancellations. If we are trying with again larger number, many more calculations will be involved there. But this is still simple because whenever the number becomes larger and larger, the remaining numbers will become lesser in their count. So after the initial step, we don't have too many numbers to actually cross out. This is how the sieve of Eratosthenes works.